What's up, folks? Welcome to Mindset Tabletop. Welcome back to the Collection Tour 2026. So we are going to go now to deck, bag, and pool building games. So those are down here. So we're going to start off with Shards of Infinity. This is kind of a basic deck building game. So if you're not familiar with deck building, the way it works is you have a very basic deck of usually 10 cards in the beginning. You're usually drawing 5 of those cards at the start, and you use those cards to get other cards. Every card that you buy and play goes into your discard pile, and then you draw up to your hand limit again. When you can no longer draw to your hand limit, and there aren't enough cards in your deck, then you are going to shuffle up your discard pile, and your discard pile becomes your deck. So everything that you've played before and everything that you have bought now are in your deck, and your deck is a little bit more powerful. There are also culling mechanisms in these games where you can get rid of cards permanently. So you can get rid of your weaker cards and keep your stronger ones and hit them more often. So Shards of Infinity is that. It's a basic deck building game with like 3 types of cards. There are ally cards, which you play out and then discard at the end of the turn. There are mercenary cards, which you can play directly out of the market immediately. And there are champion cards, which are like permanently in play and kind of give you a little bit of engine building. So that's Shards of Infinity. Star Wars, the deck building game here, is a battling game where you are playing out bases. Each player has 3 different bases, and the purpose of the game is to take out all 3 of your opponent's bases. You're doing that by, again, buying cards out of a market, cycling the way you did in Shards of Infinity. But the interesting thing about this game is not only can you attack your opponent's bases, but you can also attack cards that are in the market so that your opponent can't get them. So if you are playing as the dark side, and you see that they're about to get Leia, which is like a really powerful card, you can attack Leia and take her completely out of the market before they have the chance to get her. So that's the cool thing about Star Wars, is that kind of clearing the market by attacking it. It's an interesting mechanism. Down here is Great Western Trail. So Great Western Trail is like a Monopoly-style rondel game where you are moving around the trail and you are deck building along the way. So deck building is really kind of part of this game. It's not all of it. So you are also buying properties along the trail that your opponent will have to pay to pass. And you are basically trying to get a very diverse hand of different cattle. The more different cattle you have, the more money you will make. And when you get to the end of the trail, you sell your cattle, and then you start over again. Move through again, buy more properties, land on properties, try and get your diverse hand of cattle. So that's Great Western Trail. It's a really awesome game. It's great for people who have played Monopoly before, but want to try something a little bit more strategic and a little more modern. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle. This is a sort of campaign style basic deck building game. So this is a very, very basic, good beginner deck building game because you're going through 7 years in this game. Every year you kind of add either cards or in some cases different components to the game to change things up. There are some really cool surprises in this game, and it gets more and more complex as it goes. So it's really good as kind of a deck building training program. It's better, of course, if you're into Harry Potter and you can imagine the characters in the situation. But you don't have to be a Harry Potter fan. This is a really good way to learn deck building. It's cooperative, so you're working together so you can really help the new people. And when you win, you move on, you move to the next year, and you add some cards and stuff to the game, complexifying it a little bit. So by the end of the game, you're playing a pretty heavy deck building game, and it gets super hard. So there's definitely a challenge to this game as well. So lots of replayability, lots of advancement. That's a really good one. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle. Next, we've got Cubitos. So this is a dice pool building game. I just recently did a video on this, a first reactions video. I'll do something a little bit more in depth later on, possibly. But what you're doing here is you're basically building a pool of dice and you are rolling them and pushing your luck. So yeah, if you'd like to hear more about this game, definitely check out that video. And we're going to move on here. Ascension. So Ascension, this is the deck building game that really got me into deck building. So I played the app and fell in love with it, and then decided eventually, after a while of playing the app, I decided to get the physical version of it and play it with my friends. The app is exactly like the physical game, so either way you're going, both are great to have, and the app can certainly teach you how to play the game. So Ascension is, again, a basic deck builder. This is similar to Shards of Infinity. You have attack power and you have buying power. The buying is runes and the attack is called power. But there are monsters that go into the market in this one. It's a competitive one, but anyone can attack the monsters that are in the market. So that generally gets you like points and some other immediate benefits. And everybody is drawing their points from the honor pool, which is on the board. And you're taking these gems out of it, which symbolize either 1 or 5 points, and you're putting them into your supply. And once all of the honor pool is drawn out, you finish up that round. Everybody tallies up the honor points that they have in front of them and the ones on their cards, and that's how you decide who wins the game. But yeah, you basically are, doing the typical deck building stuff. This is really, really fun. I love this game, and there are a bunch of expansions to it, and it grows in small ways, but each different expansion makes the game a little bit different. So it's really, really worth it. I have Skulls and Sails, which is the one I've played the least, but it's really cool because it actually involves a little board and it's pirate stuff. And the art in this one is fantastic. So if you really like the pirate theme, Skulls and Sails is fantastic. And this is Valley of the Ancients, which has a tug of war mechanism, which is really interesting. It's good, but I kind of got to be in the mood for it. I also have the Year 5 collector's edition of this. So we'll take a look at that real quick. That's up here on the top shelf over here. And this has like 4 sets in it. This is really a great way to go if you know that you like the game. This is a really, really good set. This has like War of Shadows in it, which has a night and day mechanism. Really, really cool stuff. Ascension is awesome. Sitting awkwardly sideways on the shelf over here is Legendary Buffy. This is a kind of a card river deck building game where you are building up your deck to get better attacks, to take out the different enemies that are coming through this card river. And you are trying to take them out before they take you out. This one just didn't really go over too great. I'm going to give it another shot, but it's a possible call because there's just not enough variety in the cards. So it just seemed a little bit lackluster, and I felt like I'd seen everything the first time I'd played it. So Legendary Buffy is possible call, but it's on the shelf for now, sitting awkwardly sideways. All right, to the third shelf, we have Quacks of Quedlinburg. This has now been reprinted, and it's just called Quacks, but I will always love this version of it. This is a bag building game where you are involved in a festival of potion making. So everybody's come together to show off their potion making skills and see what everybody else has got packing. And you are throwing different ingredients into your bag, and then you are blindly pulling ingredients out of your bag and filling in your cauldron. Everybody's sort of racing to the outside of their cauldron. There's sort of an outward swirl. You start in the center and you build out. All of these different ingredients have different abilities, and they can interact with each other, or they're just super powerful on their own. But better ingredients you buy, the farther you're filling in your pot. And at the end of the game, we're going to score all the points up that you've scored every round and see who the winner is. Quacks of Quedlinburg is very, very fun. This is usually a hit with almost any crowd. It's a really, really great intro game. So, I mean, I could have put this in my last thing for intro games because this is absolutely fantastic. But it's in this deck, bag, and pool building section because it's just quintessential for that genre. Star Trek Captain's Chair. This is my heaviest deck building game. You are using a captain, and they play totally different. They have a different deck. And you have officers that you can employ that give you permanent abilities. And you're sort of doing this remote area control by taking over different locations in the universe. It's very, very heavy. There's a lot going on here. So hopefully I'm going to be doing some content on this in the future once I've familiarized myself more with the game, because there is so much going on here that it's really, really hard to explain in a short little overview. But basically, this is a very, very fun sort of remote area control deck building game where you are making your ship and your crew more and more powerful to take over more and more places, which are represented by these cards. Instead of having a big board with locations on it, you have these cards that you sort of take over. And again, there's a lot of really great asymmetry in this. Everybody plays very differently, and it's a fascinating, heavy deck building game that I highly recommend. So that's a Star Trek Captain's Chair. Next up is Aquatica. So Aquatica is, deck building is only part of this. There are a lot of things kind of going on at once. You are recruiting different characters. Those characters are these different mythical creatures from under the sea. And those characters all have different powers. And you play a card every turn, and then you take an action. Now, there are a bunch of different actions, and there are some free actions too. But basically what you're doing is you're either recruiting these different characters, or you are buying different locations. Now, when you buy a different location, you are going to slide it into your board. The cards have different symbols along the side of it. And the farther you slide the card into the board, and every symbol that you slide up into your board, you get. So it's different resources that you can use to, recruit or take over different places. You can conquer locations. It's a free action, and there's all kinds of things going on. But the deck building gives you your one ability that you play along with the main action that you're going to take. So that's Aquatica. This is a really, really cool game because you can set up awesome chains. If I do another chaining video, I think I'll include this, because pushing those locations up into your board is extremely satisfying, especially when you see before and you're working out this pattern that you're going to pull a great big chain with playing this thing, doing this action, and then sliding these different locations up to get all of this different stuff in one turn. Aquatica is very, very, very fun. Orleans. Orleans is very, very close to my heart. This is the game that I played most with my brother. Sometimes he said it was his favorite game, and sometimes he didn't. But I really think that this was his favorite game, and I loved playing it with him. This has an amazing expansion. You should get it eventually if you have this game, because it is really a fantastic expansion that gives it a co-op mode, a bunch of different solo modes, all kinds of different stuff. But Orleans is a bag building game, kind of similar to Quacks of Quedlinburg, where you are putting chips in a bag and you're drawing them out. You have different worker spaces on the boards. This is also a worker placement game, but the worker spaces require multiple workers, and they're different colors. You can also gain new worker spaces for your board that give you a special ability as you go throughout the game. So you're buying more chips, throwing them into your bag, cycling everything out, and then filling in your market. And then you're taking all the chips that you have, figuring out which actions you can take, put those colored workers in those colored spaces to fill out those actions, and you're getting points in different ways, Euro style. So this is a Euro bag building game, and it is absolutely amazing. I love Orleans. This is one of the most special games to me. I've spent a lot of money on this game with the expansion, which is huge. It's $60, but is huge. It's really worth it. And the Geek Up bits as well. I got the fancy chips. I also got the fancy chips for Quack. So those are very, very well worth it, because the cardboard chits just really don't work really well. They stick together, and it's just not as fun to play. It's a lot more fun to have easy to grab, easy to draw, clackety, nice shiny chips. So I really recommend the Geek Up bits for this. I really recommend the expansion for this. Orleans is a modern classic and an absolute masterpiece. I love this game, and I miss you, brother. Down here, we're going to go last, Clank Catacombs. This is a deck building game where you are building out a dungeon as you go along. If you've seen the original Clank, that's also a deck building game, but it was all on one board. The object of this game is to get as far as you possibly can through the dungeon and get as much treasure as you can and then escape before the dragon gets you. Because as you do everything, you're making clank, you're making noise, and the noise wakes up Mr. Dragon. And once a certain amount has been made every round, the dragon is going to go through the whole dungeon and they're going to attack those who have made the most noise. It's another bag building mechanism with cubes, I think. And it's been a while since I played this, sorry. But you are pulling those cubes out of the bag, and whoever's color is in those cubes gets attacked and gets hit by the dragon. So you want to get out before you die, but you want to get as much treasure as you possibly can, because if multiple people escape, whoever has the most treasure wins. The cool thing about this is you don't know how, in this version, in Catacombs, you don't know how the dungeon is going to unveil. You are pulling tiles, and when you move on to a new tile, that's when you flip it over and discover what it is and what's in there. So the dungeon is a mystery in this game, which is why I got this version and not the original. But there is also a legacy version of the original, which is supposed to be fantastic. But Clank is really fun, and basically the way you are moving through this dungeon is through your deck building. You are buying cards from a market, the same as the other ones, and using those cards to move, to search for treasure, and for attacking and defending yourself. So there are different currencies in this game which allow you to do those three things, which are the main things you're doing. You're moving from tile to tile, trying to find the juicy treasure, and then when you think that you've got the winning loot, you try to book out of that dungeon as fast as you possibly can. All right, folks, that's my deck, bag, and pool building section. We're going to move on to 3 in a couple of days. And thank you so much, folks. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate you sticking by. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much, folks, and have a great evening.